What's up, devs like us? We're back for another episode. For this episode, we're doing an interview with Miss Trenisha, talking about her journey from being a educator to becoming a UI developer. During this episode, we'll talk about that switch occurring and how she taught herself how to code, and how she's going about the process of teaching the Black youth in her area. Without further ado, Ms. Trenisha.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, Trenisha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
That's good to hear. Really quickly, we just kind of want to get, kind of your background story. When you say you went from being a teacher to a UI developer and things like that, how did that process come about? Like, did you always want to be a teacher, and then it was just like, oh, this coding thing isn't that bad, and
Actually, you just told my whole story, so.
Dang it, I'm messed
She has
up
a tendency
already.
to do that. I think she reads minds.
I'll give you some more detail, but that's literally it. But I've wanted to teach since I was in 7th grade. I was in a math class in 7th grade, and I had a math teacher who saw me in regular classes and was like, you shouldn't be in this class, like you should be in more advanced classes. So her investing in me wanted me to also become a teacher. So I've known, like, I'm teaching, I'm helping other Black students get in advanced classes. Like, I've been that way since middle school. So went to college, went to ODU, and graduated, joined Teach for America, started teaching in Louisiana and Mississippi and Texas, and was just teaching like STEM all over the place. Came back home towards this way and was actually teaching computer science and math and robotics in DC, in Southeast DC. And I'm in the classroom, teaching robotics, and we were able to win a competition at Howard, and we got to go to Houston for this competition. So I have all my kids from Southeast DC. It's like the first time they're on a plane. We're living our best life. We're in Houston. And we get to Houston and we're at the competition, and the kids are looking around. I'm looking around. I'm like, yo, no one is Black in here. Like,
yeah,
Black teams. If there are Black students, it's probably like 1 or 2 on other teams, but there's not like a group of Black students. And then they had like a trade show, and they had like all of these stands that you could go to, and all these companies that had like the latest technology with robotics and like wind turbines and robots being used on wind turbines and all this just cool technology. And not one person in there was Black. Not one person from any, I'm talking hundreds of companies, nobody. And I ran up to this Black lady. I thought she was working one of the booths, and she was like, she like worked there and was like telling people not to like trip over cords and stuff. Like she didn't even like know anything about what was going on. So, like in that moment, I was like, this is not cool. Like I've seen my kids, I've seen so many kids in DC and Southeast DC that are so intelligent and just need like the opportunity, the resource, the connection, whatever, and they could be in these spaces as well. So that's how AwakeningSTEM started, my business. So I launched AwakeningSTEM in November 2019, left the classroom. I was like, I just want to focus on like STEM and Black youth. And then COVID. then
yes.
Just came through. It just ruined. I was like, y'all, I started my business. I had my little t-shirts. I was ready. Like I was like connecting with schools. I was going into schools and teaching robotics, and like I was ready. And then COVID just came, all the schools closed. I'm like, well, that's my clientele. Like,
yes.
Like school. So I'm like, damn, like, what am I gonna do now? So, while schools were like figuring out how to get online, I was like, well, let me continue to teach myself how to code, because I taught computer science to the students, but it was just like, just HTML, CSS, like make a little about me website, like nothing crazy.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna teach myself how to code. Taught myself how to code, did an internship, then started teaching kids how to code online. And then when I finished my internship, applied for a job and got one. And like I'm a UI developer. So like that's the story to getting to being a UI developer.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's just a
I don't even
story of
want to
like
say a
resilience.
UI developer. You're just like a
Yeah.
engineer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just straight up engineer.
Yeah, I just feel
But
like I don't know. I should be doing
Don't limit yourself to the titles. Like
yeah. I'm over here looking at my notes. I'm over here. She said robotics. All I had was UI.
it's like we didn't even get any of that.
As soon as you touch robotics, you're just engineering in my book.
Yeah, that's straight up.
my stuff, really.
I I actually really appreciate you, you know, teaching the kids about robotics and actually taking them to that competition. Because while at Norfolk State, we what was it called? First Robotics or something like that.
Yeah.
I think was the competition. Oh, that was it. Okay. So yeah, like we like Norfolk State would host that competition at the university, and we would help out as the computer science department of like, all right, we'll make sure the kids are doing what they need to do. We'll, show them where they need to go, all this stuff. And while I was there, I saw that a lot where it's just like, there are very few Black kids in this room. We're on an HBCU's campus right now,
Exactly.
and there's very few. And it's just like, a lot of these kids don't even know. And it's not even just the kids, it's just the schools in general. They don't know that these opportunities are out there and available to them.
Yeah.
And, if they just had that one person that's like, hey, if you started this course up, you could, get your students engaged. And if it's something that they already like to do, and you're saying, hey, well, since you like to play such and such kind of game, how about you try and build that out on your own in this robot or something like that? It would really engage them and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I really appreciate you taking those kids because for you, that's a memory they're going to have for a lifetime.
Yeah.
True.
And
That's true.
exposure is everything. Like if you're never exposed, you can never you don't know it's out there.
Yeah.
So Trenisha, I know you mentioned your math teacher. Was there any other role models that you had from being a minority in STEM or being being a woman in STEM as well that helped you kind of get to where you were? Or did you just kind of say, I want to do this and just kind of got it done? Did you have any mentorship?
I think it was like the opposite. I think it was like I didn't see anyone that I know of. And now that I'm like in it, I know that they're here and I know that they're out here. But when I was younger and when I was in college, I didn't. And so that made me mad. So I was just like, you know what?
Right.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my part because there should be more people in these spaces that look like me. I shouldn't have to like be out here like digging and digging and digging to find someone that looks like me in the same space that I'm trying to be in. So I think it was more of the opposite. So like even my math teacher when I was younger, she was a white woman. So I didn't even have Black teachers until college. So that's just where I was in general. So like that's different for my kids though. So like my kids that I teach, they're around Black kids. They're in DC. They're around Black kids. They got Black teachers. Like principal's Black. Everyone's Black. So when they go to another space, and it's just them, it's like, like wait a minute.
Right.
Right.
Right. And I think that's so true. That brings we all went to HBCUs on this end, and our teachers had to tell us this is the last time, especially in our engineering classes, this is going to be the last time you're the majority. Like, don't even get used to this. Like, this is a safe place, but we still have to prepare you for being the only one in the room. You're lucky if you have 2 out of 10, 20 in the room. So, how did you, as a teacher, do you have any special things that you were doing to prepare them for that, all your life being really kind of being in the majority in your neighborhood to being really being the minority in the workplace? Is there anything you've done in particular to kind of help prepare them for that? Or is it kind of just, they just have to kind of learn by experience on that?
That's actually a really good question. I think because I was so blessed to be all like 6+ years of teaching were in Black spaces or diverse spaces or Black and brown spaces. So I never felt like I had those conversations. Like the community was Black, like everything was just so like blackety black that
Right, right.
I didn't have those conversations with them. They were in middle school, so I wasn't really,
Yeah.
I didn't really have those conversations with them like that. But I did have to have that conversation when we went out of town and like we're in another place, and they were like, "Oh no, it was actually in DC. The first competition we did, a math competition, math counts, and so we went to this school, and so this is before we went to Houston, and they're sitting around, and everyone is literally white or Asian. There's not Black. So they're looking around. They're like, with their little calculators. They're so cute, and they're just like, and so they come over to me, and they're like, "No one else is Black." Like they're whispering it to
Oh
me.
no.
I know, y'all. I know. So that's when I was like, oh, like I need to have these conversations with them, and just like I'm just really real with them and sit down with them, and I'm like, hey, this is what, now that you're being more exposed to like different things, this is what you're gonna see, and like this is how you're gonna have to move and like operate, and this is how you're gonna have to prove yourself, kind of.
Right. I think that's a pretty good opportunity to expose them to as well, because you never know what they'll feel when they first actually experience that for like the first time. And so many cases in a lot of different fields or a lot of different professions, a lot of people kind of drive towards people that look like them, and that's kind of like what they want to pursue. So at least kind of giving them that exposure, having that, even if it wasn't like an in-depth conversation, just enough to kind of like break the surface, that prepared them to know there's more out. And if I don't see that, then I let me be the pioneer to make that way for somebody else that's behind me.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because for these kids, it's like they're already in that very Black bubble, very minority based bubble, and then you're breaking them out, and it's good for them to see it early,
Yeah.
so they can kind of have that mindset and like have it grow on them, as opposed to they go off to college. If they go to an HBCU, it kind of makes it even worse, because it's like you go from one minority bubble to another minority bubble, and then you get out into the real world and you're in corporate now, and it's like, I don't know how to deal with, someone's passive aggression, or just, you know, other people who have different processes than me, and things like that. And so that's very great that you're, teaching them early about that. But one question I have with that is, how did you get them engaged when you first started, in that class, of saying, hey guys, I know you guys know, like, some of you may know a little bit about this, but not really. So how did you, get that excitement and fuel their, you know,
I remember the first time I had to teach computer science, we started with Scratch at first.
Okay.
And so they were in 6th grade. They were so cute. Like they were creating like stories with Scratch. And I think the way to get them engaged was to make something myself and like have it like about me or something like that, and like show them the end result first and be like, hey, you guys are gonna be able to make this, and this is how you do it. Same for when we moved on to like creating websites, and we were just like on CodePen, and I would make whatever we're doing first. So the first thing we did was the About Me project. So I made it, if my picture there from like from like middle school, high school, and college, and like my favorite songs, and like, so I was just trying to make it like unique to me. And so once they were able to see like, oh, I can create something, it can be about me or things that I'm interested in, I think tying those together made them really engaged in it. And I also think coding has like an immediate satisfaction, like I can, or immediate results. So like if I put my name right here, I can see it immediately. Like if I could see it, and so I think that also helped them too, to see like, oh, when I do this, it shows up right here, or when I do this, it moves this right here. Kept them really engaged.
because sometimes when it's something new, you have kids be like, Yeah, I don't know about this one. Like,
Oh, they actually
so
really enjoyed it. They loved it. They really did. And I really think it's because it wasn't like other subjects where it's like I have to have this certain thing. Like you have to know these certain things and you're being tested on these certain things. And it's like actually it's like, yes, I'm teaching you how to code and you will need to know these things, but like you can also just make it your own. It can be about whatever. The game can do whatever. The website can have whatever on it. So, and then also like learning to add their own music and videos, all that stuff. Oh my gosh. I love all of it, really.
And that's
it's
still
like I
amazing to
can
me because when you say sixth grade, I didn't see code until I got to college, freshman year of
Yeah.
college. That was my first
Yep.
time being exposed to code. I guess how do you? I'm assuming Awakening STEM probably kind of helps substitute for some of the things that they don't get from the public school systems. Can you speak, I guess, a little bit towards some things that you think we could add to the education system and how Awakening STEM kind of helps to address some of those things?
Yeah, for sure. So the education system, I think, should be hands-on and project-based. I think that kids should be coding in elementary school. They should be coding in like kindergarten and first grade. So like when I was doing robotics, one of the schools that I was going to was an elementary school. So I had like second graders, third graders, like they were doing like the We Do kits and like
Oh,
they're
nice.
even though it's block code, they're still like putting it in like learning sequence, like just and getting it to move and do certain things. So it's like, why? Like, why can't I do that so young and you're exposed so young? So by the time you get to high school, like, who knows like what you're making it
Right.
like. So I think that hands-on learning, STEM, coding, all of that stuff should be introduced way early. Um, at a really young age. But then you get into the issue of schools not having that funding or
Hmm. Yeah.
um, testing and schools being focused on testing and like we're focused on passing this test and getting this certain grade for our school. So I think where Awakening STEM comes in is like also teachers in schools are overwhelmed. Like
Right.
overwhelmed. Like it's like now you want me to teach kids how to code. Like it's like I gotta do this, this, and this, and now you want me to teach them how to code, and now I gotta teach myself how to code to teach them how to code. So I think Awakening STEM is like providing is alleviating that. So it's like I'm providing the resources for you. And I know schools and teachers want their kids to have STEM. They want that. You will hear schools talk about that, but they don't know how to do it, or they don't have the bandwidth to do it. So I'll come in and either do robotics. Like I was doing robotics, it just depends. Like I can come in and do it in the morning. I was doing it in the day schedule, and then sometimes I'll do it after school, and then sign up that way. So it's like I'm providing relief for teachers in schools who want STEM and want it, and they just don't know how to implement it or need help implementing it.
I think one
So
thing that you mentioned that was a really good point is getting kids to start coding in like elementary school. Because if you think like most people have that real, creative mind at a very young age, and like you said, it's kind of like the possibilities are endless, and kind of like going with the kind of times that we are in now. If kids did start coding early, like what kind of solutions will we have, to kind of fix some of the day to day things that we're dealing with as, adults.
Yes, for sure. I totally agree.
and I mean at such a young age, that's when learning is the easiest because
Yeah.
they're figuring out the entire world at that
Right.
point. They're figuring out themselves and things like that. And so if they're already in the process of learning and their brain is still growing and things like that, might as well put it in their hands early. Like I was telling the guys before we started, like I was talking to a coworker and he's like, "Yeah, I want to teach my daughter how to do Python." And it's like there's plenty of books for it. Like
Let's do it.
there's like it's like there's books you can read to your baby about Python to get those ideas in their heads. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, the earlier the better. Um,
So I have a
so
oh go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
go ahead.
I no I had
No,
a
go ahead.
question. So I guess like thinking about kind of like with everything. I know you mentioned like with everything changing over with COVID and that kind of thing. Now everything is virtual. So do you think that there is a bigger push for kind of having that open end kind of like project based learning versus trying to stick to the old structure of just do this, do that, turn this in, and turn that in?
Yeah, I when I've been talking to schools I'm working with and other teachers, it has been difficult to keep the same like model and do that online. And teachers end up getting burnt out and students end up getting burnt out. So what is happening is a lot of it has become like students are doing like self studies and like doing a lot of like work and projects and things on their own or with their family members or whatever. But yes, I think that this whole thing has kind of like broke open how school has been going and that it does not actually work and that things like really need to be shifted around like how we're thinking about education and how we're expecting students to learn. Um, and so, like, for coding, it makes it easy to teach online because, it's like, I'm sharing my screen, we coding along, and like we're making things together. But again, I think that we're going to have to really rethink, like, how are we looking at education and like, how are kids learning? And like, because kids are burnt out. Like, if I'm starting at 8 a.m. on the computer and I'm going to 4 p.m. on the computer and I'm like just taking breaks for lunch or whatever, and like people are just lecturing at me, it's you know
Yeah, it's a long day. Yeah.
it's a long day. You're burnt out.
So, Trenisha, going back to your journey as a self-taught developer, engineer, um, what is something that you wish you? Yeah, I'm giving you that tag. So, what is something that you wish you knew beforehand? Is there anything that you would have done differently? It sounds like your skill sets helped you out from being an educator at first, but is there anything you wish you knew before you made the switch?
Probably two things. The first thing is I wish I would have known that I could teach myself how to code a long time ago, like before I went through school and went through college. And I know I'm probably gonna get like backlash from that, but like I wouldn't have went. Like so serious. I'm so
We
serious.
have that debate all the
Yeah,
time.
we
So.
do. It's fine. Hey, this is a safe space. Share it.
Oh, and we didn't. So, what was your major? Was it education? Was it a specialty within education, or was it just education?
It was technology education.
Oh, so you
Oh,
kind of yeah.
nice.
So you
Okay.
had it. So
Yeah.
you had it.
You
I did
you were
not
on
code.
the tip of it.
I didn't code at all though. I didn't take any coding classes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just like I felt like woodshop to me, but it was like a woodshop type class. And then I took like AutoCAD, like stuff like that. But I wasn't coding like what I'm doing now. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't have went. Like student loans, like why?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's real.
that's
That's
true.
real.
That's the number one thing. Yo, I wouldn't have went if I knew I could teach myself how to code. And I think the second thing was I wish I would have figured out early on what I really wanted to do. Um, like so when I started teaching myself how to code, I was on Udemy, and I was taking a course on Udemy, which I highly recommend anytime I talk about teaching yourself how to code. But I was on there and I was taking a web development like um, course, and my internship was like I was doing all like it was more design stuff. Like they wanted me to like so I was helping create this app that's like kind of like a social media type of app. And they would be like, oh, we want it to look like this, like go in and like change the design of this and that and this and that. And I was like, I don't know if I don't know if I really like this. Um, yeah, I think I design a little bit better than them, but I don't think I'm a good
Uh-oh.
designer. Because I was just a little bit better at it than they were. But yeah, I was like, should this be black or red? Like,
Right.
I don't care. Like, so more after my internship, when I was looking for jobs, I was like, wow, I wasted all this time, like taking this, like really studying, like the design of websites and things like that. And like at first I almost did freelance and like making websites for people, but I would have been miserable because that's not what I want to do.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Making my own website, oh my God. Like making my portfolio, I was like, this is where are the templates? Like
Yeah.
it's like so now what I do in my role as a UI developer, it's more of like just making things work, which I like better. So it's like, oh, you click on this and like it does this, is because, oh yeah, I made that happen. So I like that better than like, oh, this should be this size and this color and like go like that. Yeah, that was a long, but
I think it's funny you
No, that
mentioned
was
a
actually a
buzzword that
really
we
good
debate
explanation.
about. Oh, sorry, sorry, Jay.
No, go ahead. What's your buzzword?
No, the buzzword is freelance. So, we
yeah.
we have a long debate about that one too.
Not
Oh,
a bad debate. It's just more about um, if we think it's right for us, if it's like full time living off freelancing. Some people can do it, some can't, and just getting into like putting getting your foot in the freelancing door from the start and how that
it's
process goes.
I think freelance for me was scary, especially like because I was a teacher and that's all I know. And I was like, oh, I only know how to teach. I know how to like do a little bit of this, but I wanted to be on a team first. And I wanted to like code with other people and like have people review my code and like review other code and like just have that atmosphere of like being on a team and learning and absorbing as much as I can. I think on my own, I would have figured it out, but it would have just been more rigorous on me, and I would have probably been a little more stressed than like being on a team and working with a team. So not for me.
I gotcha. Makes sense.
It's not for me. Not for me.
That makes
So
sense. One thing I was gonna bring up was, you talked about awakening STEM and things like that, and starting out, at the end of 2019, and then COVID hit. So, other than COVID, like, do you wish you would have started earlier and gotten more engrossed in the school systems and things like that? Just more of because of the fact that this is something that you can do, online. Like it's good to have that chance to be in front of the students and things like that, but kind of having that trade off, especially being in DC and DC traffic and stuff, trying to get from one place to another.
Yeah.
So like having that trade off of, online, in person type of thing to engage the students.
Ooh, there's like pros and cons to both. Like I miss my kids so much. I miss them all the time. I still talk to most of them. I think that's the part I miss, like interacting with them and laughing and joking with them and teaching them and building relationships with them. But I don't miss being like in the classroom. I really don't. And I think it's because it puts so many restrictions on like what I wanted to do. Like for one thing, like I was teaching math. I didn't want to teach math. Once I got exposed to computer science and like robotics, I was like, I don't want to teach math anymore. But it was like part of my job description. Like I had to. So I had to teach math, then computer science, and then robotics. So it was like, ew, I don't want to like do this.
Like I understand this is the reason that I started, but
like so it's like so many things, like again it's also there's so much stress. So like for example, when I was going in, it was like I would wake up at 5, I'm getting ready, I'm either driving into DC or I'm taking the metro, and then I'm getting there, I'm prepping, I'm like doing teaching my own classes, and then at the time I was a teacher leader, so I'm also managing and observing and giving feedback to other teachers on the STEM team. And then I'm also doing like my after school stuff, so like robotics, whatever. And I'm getting home at like 8 o'clock at night. And so then it's like I'm choosing to either work out or like eat or like it's like one thing you can do when you get off. And like that's it. And then you like wake up and do it again. So it's like that burnout part is like I really enjoy the kids and I enjoy like STEM, and it's like I was thinking like what can I do to like bring that together. So I don't miss that part. Being online and like doing my own thing and doing my own business has freed up so much like time, and also more flexible. So like one school, I might just work with them on Fridays. Another school, I might work with them, but it's only after school, or it might only be an hour each day, you know? So it's like I get to go in, do exactly what I want to do and dip. And I love that.
Trenisha, are you looking to expand Awakening STEM or have be able to provide frameworks to others who might want to do it in other parts of the country? Are you looking to do that in the future? What's the goals for Awakening STEM in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do that too. I'm actually looking to get to a point where I don't have to teach the classes. So right now it's just me, myself, and I. I do everything. I don't know if y'all have seen this. I don't. It's like a TikTok where like the person's running in and they're like the creative director, they're like the manager,
Oh yeah.
everything, and she's like running in with a different outfit on, and it's just she does everything. That's me. So trying to like, get to a point where like I don't have to teach. I would just build out the curriculum and then I would have other people under me, and they would teach the classes. I'm looking to do that this summer actually. I'm like working with a high school and have an internship and like start with an internship with some high school kids and see if they can teach and then like build up from there. So the future, um, it's not no crazy like goals. It's just I just want to get to a space where like I'm not teaching and I have continue to build out the curriculum I already have and have other people teach it. And that's it. Just keep teaching the black babies.
So
Makes up for
did
no
you say
one
you taught in
knowing things.
Texas and Louisiana, or were those the competition locations?
No, so for Louisiana, I thought so. Teach for America was like, "Congratulations, you're going to Louisiana." So I was like, "Yes, I'm going to New Orleans." Like, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's Louisiana Delta, which is in the middle of
Yep.
nowhere. And then I got an opportunity to teach in Mississippi, but where I was, Natchez, Mississippi, is literally on the border of Louisiana. So it's like right there. So I didn't even move. I lived in the same place, in the same house, and just go to the other school right over the border. And then Texas, I was in El Paso, Texas. So that was a little bit different than being in Louisiana and Mississippi, but I still really enjoyed it. But I think I was just away from home too long, and I was like,
Yeah.
time to come back up to the DMV, which I missed, and I think I'm gonna stay. I think I'm good.
So DMV, Louisiana, Texas, what's Mississippi? Best food spots. I'm a foodie. I'm just trying to figure out.
He's getting his list together
Let me
whenever we post COVID.
tell this food story. So I was in Mississippi. I was, ODU in college, you eating dumb stuff. So I
Yeah.
joined Teach for America. I'm in Mississippi. These people, I love them so much. Shout out to y'all. Hey, y'all. Um, like at the school, my first year in this school, they brought food all the time. It was like potlucks out all the time. I haven't been in a workplace like it yet, but it's like, oh, cool. We got a staff meeting. Cool. Like, I'm gonna bring greens. I'm gonna bring macaroni and cheese. I'm bringing fried chicken. Like, I'm bringing all this food. And then everyone owned like a restaurant down there. Like, all these different everyone owned a restaurant. Everyone opened up a restaurant. You would just always have plates, food plates, chicken plates, fish plates, burger plates. And so I gained so much weight. So then I was like, oh my God, like I need to start working out. So I started working out, but I was still eating. Like I would work out and then like go to like the little local spot.
Defeating the whole purpose.
Like, a milkshake, like,
I could just see a piece of bread in a container right now, just on top of the food.
Yeah. Don't worry, that's Terrence's life story.
So then I was like, I got to be a vegetarian. So I've been a vegetarian since 2016 for that.
Awesome.
Because it was getting ridiculous. Like even my kids, my students were like, Miss Gosley, love you, but sis, like, chill. But El Paso food too, so good. It's so good because it's right on the border of Mexico and Juarez. It's like the food is just like literally their grandmamas are making it. Like it's just so good.
Everything handmade.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask a follow-up question. What's the go-to vegetarian meal for like the best number one go-to? Putting you on the spot.
Like if I'm making it myself or if I'm going somewhere.
Both
Yeah.
Just
or
the
one or the
all-time
other.
favorite.
Okay.
Because I have my meals where I'm like, I need a vegetarian meal because I overdid it the day before.
That's not always good. So I don't know if you should ask me because I'm like the vegetarian that's still eating like all the sides. Like I'm eating everything.
All the carbs.
Not me, I'm eating it. So if I cook myself, it's usually some type of pasta. Like I love pasta. So some type of veggie pasta that I would make that I really, really, that's usually my go-to is what I'm going to make. If I go somewhere, I'm probably going to go to New Vegan or What is it? There's another place it's like right on the border of DC and Northwest, but it's in Maryland. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it right now, but their food is so good. So I really miss seafood, like fried fish. So they have like a vegan fried fish, and then I always still get sides. So I'm still getting like sweet potatoes. So soul food is usually what I get when I go out. So I can
Yeah.
get all this like cornbread. I'm getting everything, macaroni and cheese, like everything.
Yeah.
And then they have a vegan fried fish that I'll get. That's really good.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, if I had to go vegan, there's probably a lot of sweet potatoes in my life.
Yeah,
Sweet
I love
potatoes
sweet
and
potatoes.
greens.
Good. It's
Yeah.
good. All the sides. People ask me that too. How do you eat it like Thanksgiving? I'm eating all the sides, all the.
Like it's not that hard.
That's true. Oh, we gotta let her shout out all of her social media
Oh
pages.
yes,
Um,
yes, all of them.
All of them. Okay.
Instagram, Twitter,
Instagram is just
Facebook.
Awakening STEM. Twitter, Awakening STEM. Facebook's Awakening STEM. You can go to www.awakeningstem.com. Um, yeah.
don't forget YouTube. YouTube.
So I tried that. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and I'm gonna like code on there and like people can watch it and like I'm gonna use my little Arduino kit and like build little circuits and record it. Don't go, y'all. It's embarrassing. Don't look. Now are gonna go look what?
Definitely.
YouTube, but
Everybody's
also
gonna be
Awakening
like,
STEM.
like everybody's gonna be like, oh, okay, she has a YouTube.
No.
It is a
Yep,
lot
I
of
already
work.
looked it up. I see it. No.
Yeah,
It looked good.
No.
I say you
Stop.
should keep going.
No. I
keep
quit.
going. It's a learning process.
If you see
Yeah.
the last video was 7 months ago, it's so much work. It's
It is a
I
lot
don't
of
think
work.
people realize it. I think people think like, oh, I'm just gonna like set up the camera and like just work. It's not editing it, all of that. It's so much work. I quit. So
Girl, we know. We know.
I know y'all know. So the videos up there, that's all they get. That's all the people get.
Got you.
Let's see. Yep, there it is. I see it.
Oh
It's a
my
nice
It looked
page.
good. I thought,
like
yeah.
it.
no.
So we all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And you all have to end somewhere too. Sometimes you just gotta recognize what is your like. You gotta stay in your lane. You gotta recognize what your lane is. And, just stay in it. And I came over into the little and I came right back. YouTube wasn't for me.
It was a little YouTube detour. We get it.
For me.
Yeah.
That's what.
But we'll definitely make sure we'll add all the social media stuff. We can add it to the show notes too, for sure.
Yes, definitely check out my Instagram too. I just made my first reel today, y'all. I'm so proud for MLK Day.
Nice.
That was also a lot of work.
Oh yeah, we gotta see the mug too. Let me see the mug, the tea mug you had. It.
Oh, Frederick Douglass.
Frederick Douglass is a nice mug right
Nice.
there. I love the colors.
Yes.
I'm gonna read the quote. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Frederick Douglass.
I
That's deep. Yeah.
Was there anything else, Trenisha, that we should really hit? That
I do have one question though, for someone that's like still trying to figure out their life out here in the tech space. So
Well, that sounds like it's a deep question. We're ready.
it's not that.
let's do it.
Okay, so where I am now, I am of course the only Black person. There's like 85 people on the team. It's just me out here. And so I'm looking for like communities to be a part of. So I found y'all through Raven's Instagram or Sims Design. Shout out to Sims Designs. And
yes.
then I'm like looking for other ones, and like I found like Coding Black Females, and then like Techish, the podcast. But I'm like really looking for like a community of like Black developers, and I don't know where they are. So I don't know if y'all have any plugs or any other people that y'all.
There's a few on Instagram. I think there's one I follow is Black Coder.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one, Blacks in Tech, Techs of Color.
Yeah, Black girls that code.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's like, things will happen, like everything that happened, for example, everything that happened at the Capitol. And so I'm just like, it was happening during the workday. And I just went in Slack and I was just like, is anyone watching the news? and like one person responded and like messaged me, but he like messaged me privately. Like he didn't even want to have the conversation. Like,
Yeah.
it's like every
Because even at GitHub, there was a guy got in trouble for speaking about it in the Slack channel at GitHub. So like that is real. Is that something that we could provide, JB, Clarence? Like,
I think
do
so.
we need, do we
Because
need
That's the
a
type of
monthly
community we
Zoom
want to
call?
provide.
day.
Yeah.
I just
feel
feel
that it was real.
listen, y'all, I gotta talk to y'all. Like,
I do believe that the whole year of 2020, in just in general, it's really opened up spaces that I think that nobody knows how to truly explore it without everybody, especially in the corporate workspace. Because like I know we had a stand up and like our leadership was like, I felt like I couldn't focus yesterday, and everybody, all the day that everything happened, and it's like everybody kind of felt that way, but it took somebody else to say it before everybody could just say, wow, you too, kind of thing. So I think we're in a weird time because, you could find it's ways to talk about it and not offend anybody. But at the same time, I think everything is so, how do I say it? Everybody's just trying not to offend anybody by saying the wrong thing and not being, truly educated in, how to bring those type of things up and, express it so that everybody, can express it the way that they need to.
yeah, I think that like I appreciate my job, and they do a lot of things to like make me feel comfortable and like welcome me and do things in the community. But there's just like that piece of where I wish I could just like get on a call with someone I work with that just has similar experiences as me, and like I can just like vent to them or talk to them or whatever. So that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, girl, please believe me. We understand.
Yeah, we're all probably mentally drained from everything. So
But that's real. I remember even when Michelle Obama this year, she was saying how she was just speaking on how she was depressed and like she just was down, and like if the former first lady is saying like, oh, this is tough times, like yeah, it's tough times for us for sure.
yeah.
If people who have like all the resources and still saying like it's hard for them getting through and day to day, it's a lot, like, and then just so.
I had a friend that got upset because they got on a call and everybody was like everything was all peachy and fine, and he's like, it's no way you can say you're mentally okay today. Like, you should stop lying to yourselves. Like, you're like, I don't know, should I be preparing for something? Here I am writing all my stories, and in the midst of everything, I should have went to the grocery store to prepare to be locked down for a couple of days. I don't know what to do.
It was literally like I was on Facebook and like Twitter, and I was like going in, like I was saying all these things. I was just like letting how I felt out, but then I'm like also on a call at the same time, like on stand up, like talking about what I did and what I'm working on and like what I'm working on tomorrow, and it's just the two. It's just.
I just want to say how that was the perfect like stand up answer to 3 questions for the stand up she just did. What are there any blockers? What did you get done since the last time we met? What are your plans to do the next day? Perfect agile scrum methodology.
Well, thank you so much, Trenisha, for everything that you've shared. It's definitely been a gem to us, and we hope that it's definitely a gem to our community. So again, thank you so much for joining us and reaching out and, using this community, because that's what it's here for. So we appreciate you for coming. So for our listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of Devs Like Us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment on what you thought about today's episode, and we'll see you next time.